Welcome back to another StarCraft 2 replay cast. This is a PvZ. This is actually one of my games, and it is played on Habitation Station. I know I have talked about this map before, but this is the really fun map that has the hard to secure but very valuable gold right sort of in the middle in an awkward position. Up here is my opponent in the top right corner. His name is Pogomor. He either really enjoys pogos or just has a really creative naming system about him. I'm over here, I'm Overmined, the Protoss player in blue at the top left side, and I'm just placing down my first pylon and heading off to scout. This first little bit I'm going to go ahead and speed through because this will just be mostly supply depots, pylons, scouting. Nothing too huge happening here. He is throwing down his barracks and chasing my probe around, and I'm just getting a quick look to see that there's nothing horribly strange going on, like 3 barracks or anything like that. I do have my gateway here, getting a cyber core, putting up a second gas geyser. Pretty standard stuff as far as my openings. Sometimes I will do a 2-gate open, but since I've seen that he just has this one nice barracks here, I'm not too worried about it. As long as I have a stalker to deal with any early reapers, it should be fine. He is building on a tech lab here and adding another barracks, which is pretty typical for Terran. Get those barracks, get those marines and marauders. Getting a factory so that he can add that 3rd M and get a starport with his medevacs. And he just has a single marine down here to try and keep me from scouting anymore and to defend this very open area. I don't know how effective he will be at that. We shall see. I have a front pylon here so that at some point I can warp units in at the front if there is an attack. And I have an expansion going down slightly before my opponent. I do at this point have 2 gateways up, just finished warp gate. Have a few too many probes here, so I'm going to go ahead and start sending them down to my expansion. Putting up some pylons so that if I need to later I can place cannons around my mineral line to help with all those annoying attacks and, let's face it, widow mine drops, which are the bane of everything. I've really been enjoying going robotics bay so that I have detection and can get a lot of map vision with my observers. So I'm going to go ahead and throw that down and just continue to warp in units along the front. Now he has decided to build this sensor tower. You can see the ring where it covers on the map, and that does cover a little bit beyond this gold expansion here, so if he wanted to take that he would see things coming to attack it. It actually is a really nice advantage that Terran has, being able to put those up and just sort of have constant map vision, so I would highly recommend them if you are going to play Terran. He's going to go ahead and put a missile turret up in case I go DTs, or just in case I have my observer, which I do. Go ahead and check to see that he doesn't have this gold here. Putting gas geysers up here, continuing to make units. And I'm going to go ahead and get Twilight Council, mostly because I really enjoy getting these upgrades, and because I really enjoy that particular line of tech. You can see he's starting his expansion here. He has a pretty decent little guard set here to make sure that I don't get any units snuck in here. You can see if we go to his camp, sorry about that, that he has several barracks up. He is going tech labs because he probably knows that marauders are a pain. If we look back over at my camera, you'll see that my observer went over here and then was killed because it was spotted by this missile turret. So this little army that is sitting right there did manage to kill it. It looks like he does have an SCV just sitting there. Oh, there it goes. Alright, cool. Cool. So at this point, I am a little bit ahead in the food count, but Terran can make things pretty quickly. And it looks like he is making those beefier marauder units, which are more of a pain to deal with, whereas I do have a good number of zealots. I'll go ahead and go to the units tab. At this point I do have my High Templar I do have my Templar archives with storm research. I'm adding on a number of gateways. I remember at this point in the game being very nervous that there hadn't been an attack just yet, and having way too many minerals, so wanting to supplement my army with additional gateways. And at this point, my Templar are getting that energy, which is going to make storming possible, and in fact, very desirable. I do have a couple observers out on the map, this one to sort of keep track of that gold expansion, this one to check the other areas around, and to try and scout, which it does pretty successfully actually. I do manage to avoid this missile turret and get a pretty good look at his base. So I'm going to see that he has a starport, and that, importantly, he has tech labs on many of his barracks, except he does have, you know, the reactor on his factory and the tech lab on his factory. So I get to see a lot of what his add-ons are, which tells me a lot about his unit composition without actually having to fly over here where this thing will kill me, as it did before. And seeing that he's only on 2 bases, I'm pretty strongly considering moving out to expand. He is scanning and checking this area pretty regularly at this point. You'll actually see him put down a couple scans. Since he just scanned this area and didn't see anything, I'm going to go ahead and take this moment to set up this base. He's actually scanning my army down here. He does see it. We are actually completely even on food right now, and I'm going to go ahead and move out, mostly because since I am expanding, it's good to be a little bit aggressive and active with my army. So I give a little bit of a check to make sure that there's no ambush around here, since he did just scan, but I'm not really seeing anything as far as drops, not seeing anything on my little mini-map come up as red, which is good. I do kind of freak out and surround this with cannons, which will help if he does try and drop, especially since it is very easy to spot this, and I do want to hold it as much as possible. Gonna go ahead and group my army up around here, just outside of the vision of these sensor towers, for as long as I can. He gets his army into position. I'm gonna go ahead and slow down a bit. You can see that I do get some pretty great storms off here, and in the units count you can see the food just falling for both of us, but a bit more for him because of those storms. And you can see it really takes out those Marines and Marauders, especially when you get several going on together. At this point, I don't actually think that he made anything else, except for maybe let that siege tank finish. I was pretty well in his base, and at this point it was probably GG, since he didn't really have a third or anywhere else that he could go. So this was pretty well the end of the game. I actually really enjoyed this game, if for no other reason than because of this map. I really like this map. And because there's just nothing wrong with killing Terran players. I did expect, actually, something sort of bad to happen at some point, because there was no army attacking, and I was just allowed to sort of mess with this base without any resistance. I just started storming these guys for fun, but it became apparent once the game ended that these were all of his buildings, and he was revealed. So that's the end of the game. I really hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you have any interesting games of your own that you'd like to send me, you can send them to noobcrafted@gmail.com. I would be more than happy to watch them and maybe even put them up on YouTube. Anyway, thanks for watching, you guys, and I'll see you guys next time.